My videos are always based on the British market, and today we're going one step further and talking exclusively about some British sports cars that offer really great value for money. All 5 of these cars come from here in the UK and they offer some really cool performance for your money. And they all cost less than 50k from the lower to a bit of the higher end as well. So no more faff, if you like the video, do hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're new here. Without further ado, let's get into the video. When Aston Martin really put their mind to making something beautiful, they almost always succeed, and the Vantage is a perfect example of this. On release in 2005, it came with a 4.3-litre V8, but in May 2008 it received an update which would upgrade the engine, transmission, suspension, technology and aesthetics. This update model came with a larger engine capacity due to a different way of setting the cylinder liners into the engine block, so of course it was both more powerful and faster overall. That engine was a 4.7-litre V8 which put out 420 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.7 seconds. By today's standards, not ridiculous, but it's important to remember what this car's purpose actually is. It was made to compete with cars like the Porsche 911, so yes, it's a sports car, but it was also supposed to do what the 911 does in terms of grand touring in a more luxurious, more premium and generally better fashion. That doesn't mean it wasn't capable, as it still got an upgraded sport shift automated manual gearbox or a manual one depending on what you prefer, plus a stiffer overall suspension setup to sharpen the handling, which you could enhance even further with the optional sports package. I would personally go for one of these in coupe spec, but they did also come as a roadster, which might be more suited to someone interested in a grand tour to the south of France. I would prefer to go through some tight twisty mountain roads in the Alps in a coupe, so no need to drop the roof, although the engine note is sublime on these, so the open top might give you a better feeling of that. At the bottom end, these will cost you around the £30,000 mark, which I would say is pretty good value for what you're getting. Generally priced for a good 2011 model sit up to around £45,000, anything more and you're starting to get the really well kept examples. The engine is known to be very strong and reliable, which is great news. Instead, it's the clutches on manual models that can go wrong and cost around £2,500 to replace at a main dealer. All in, the build quality on these is very good, except for the known water ingress into the boot. Next up, we have a car from one of my favourite manufacturers and the little sibling to one of my favourite cars of all time. It's the TVR-T350. If you compare this to a Sagaris, you can straight away see the similarities. It's just that the Sagaris is the aggressive version of this with all the axe holes and the sideways exhaust and the endurance inspired roof. The T350 is the reserved version of the two, and the prices are also much more reasonable considering the performance, starting at around the £32,000 mark for a nice 2004 example, though it's worth mentioning they are very rare, with just over 200 on the roads here in the UK today. And despite that value, you're still getting a typical TVR Speed 6 engine, the 3.6-litre inline 6 which puts out 350 brake horsepower in line with the name, which takes to 60 in 4.4 seconds, not bad for the second oldest car on the list. The T350 is based on the Tamora and comes in both coupe and Targa spec, denoted by them either being a T350C or T350T. Even though it isn't as aggressive as the Sagaris, it definitely is still up there from a TVR perspective. I mean, look at those holes in the rear bumper and the super sharp tail, which is completely the opposite of the smooth front end, leading to maximum aerodynamic efficiency and stopping the car from lifting at high speeds. If going fast is your preference, you could even get the T350 with the optional sport package that gives additional options to the multifunctional display, like lap times and all the important temperatures to be aware of while racing, except tyre temps of course, but that would have been absolutely ridiculous. So if, like me, you like driving on track, the T350 will definitely do the job. Servicing can be quite expensive on these though, and a full service history is a must. With TVRs, it's often a good idea to speak with whichever service dealership or specialist has dealt with the car to make sure you're not getting a bad one and ensure that you get a decent opinion before you go on to buy, and I say that as someone with a genuine interest in buying a TVR. We're jumping forward a decade now to the Jaguar F-Type R, which sits towards the top end of the F-Type spectrum thanks to its whopping 5-litre supercharged V8 engine, which makes 542 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.1 seconds, spurred on by the fact that it's all-wheel drive, which yes, means all in it's a bit more heavy than the V6 rear-wheel drive models, but I think that can be excused for that performance and of course the incredible noise these cars make. Jaguar specifically spent time fine-tuning the engine note of this car and gave it an aggressive pops and bangs map from factory, which some people love, other people not so much. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. But irrespective, it does sound good when on tap and is known to be a spiritual successor to the wonderful classic E-Type Jag. Now what I find interesting about the F-Type R is that all in it kinda offers the best value for the whole range. Yes, the SVR has dropped significantly in price and is the more exotic example, but the R still comes with cool, slightly modified aesthetics over the standard F-Type, and and isn't ridiculously underpowered in comparison to the SVR. Where the SVR wins out is in how aggressive it is, with more aero, more carbon fibre for lightness, better brakes, and the better overall handling. But if you're after a car that will dominate the majority of other cars in the performance area and offers you great grand touring abilities and is a bit more modern, the F-Type R definitely will do the job. Plus, even if you spent the extra money for an SVR, you still haven't got a range topper, as if a Project 7 rolls up, you've been outplayed. You'll need to spend around £30,000 to get into one of these, and you'll get a really nice 2016 example from around the £40,000 mark. The V8 is sadly known for two main problems: noisy cam chain tensioners and the failure of the high pressure fuel pumps, which can make the V6 sound like a more interesting option. Some build problems have also been noted too, namely the inflating seat bolsters failing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are, do hit the like button, I would really appreciate it, and subscribe as well if you are new here, and let me know in the comments down below what your personal favourite British car of all time is. I find that question very difficult. It would probably be the DB5 or the DB4 for me. I suppose if you can consider it as a British car, then the Ford RS200. Those are all cars that I absolutely adore. What's yours? I am an absolutely massive Lotus fan. I honestly wholeheartedly buy into the brand, and I'm willing to overlook the old phrase, lots of trouble, usually serious, because of just how raw and focused their cars are, and the Exige for me is the best of the bunch. I would love to get myself into a Cup 430 at some point, but that is a six-figure car, so how can you get some of that performance for a fraction of the cost? Well, the S offers you pretty good value on this front, with its 3.5 litre supercharged V6 engine sourced from Toyota, which makes 345 brake horsepower and does 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds, pretty insane, made possible by the fact that it weighs just 1,176 kilograms. I sometimes see people, myself included, being less interested in buying an S, as a lot of the cooler Lotus features start to arrive when you spend sport or cup money, but we collectively shouldn't sleep on the value for money the S provides. A top speed of 172 miles per hour, the typical aggressive Lotus stylings, a stripped out interior in true Lotus fashion, and one of the most head-turning cars available for under £50,000, plus for normal road use, it's already erring on the side of impractical. It's not as strong as the sports and cups on track as a result of it not having some of their features, but that doesn't mean it's bad at all, far from it. If you're a track day regular, you'll see these around all the time. Put some good tyres on it and it's good to go. It's mostly engine temperatures you need to worry about, not capability. Strange one, but one thing that always makes me laugh in these is how massive the sills are. Honestly, I've thought about getting one of these instead of the Alpha 4C I'm currently after, but my future wife would probably be done with me after struggling over that sill a few times. Prices remain relatively punchy, starting at around the 40k mark, and you'll easily get nice 2016 examples under 50k. Reliability is so much more positive nowadays thanks to the Toyota engine, but replacement parts are notoriously expensive on Lotuses, so something to be aware of. Taking the top spot is a car that is probably the most track focused on the list, the Noble M12, which is a car you'll rarely see on the roads given there are so few actually registered. They do come up for sale every so often though, starting at around the £45,000 mark and generally sitting at under 50k, with relatively low miles, helped in part by what their purpose is. Nobles literally make TVRs look like mass-produced cars, and they make Lotus look like a VW size manufacturer. They are built to be track cars that are street legal, hence it's built around a full steel roll cage with a fiberglass composite body shell to keep it lightweight. It actually weighs just 1,080 kilograms, pretty good for a car that has a 3-litre twin turbocharged Ford V6 engine that makes 340 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 3.3 seconds. The fact that it's so rare, so competitive on pace, and so usable on the road and track makes it such a good value car, though I can appreciate it's definitely an if you know, you know style car when compared to many others on this list. It's a genuinely surprising car too. Even though it's track focused, it has no anti-roll bars, meaning the ride is renowned for being incredibly supple and comfortable, a clever design by Noble. That said, like a TVR, it also gets rid of a bunch of creature comforts like anti-lock brakes, and on top of that adds in racing focused features like a racing harness and the tight set of pedals for better heel toe opportunities. The reviews of this car all generally agree on one thing: it's basically a racing car just made road legal. Despite being so rare, they're actually known to be pretty reliable, which is surprising given how much they're used on track. One example has done over 130,000 miles and never had any major issues, which is always a good sign. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. A quick reminder, let me know in the comments down below what your personal favourite British car ever is. Massive thanks to the patrons for their support, and to you guys as well for watching. If you haven't already, do hit subscribe and like the video. And if you want to see some cheaper British cars as well, then click up here and subscribe down here.